Hello everybody, this is Old School from White Box Gaming, and today we're going to be looking at Medieval Dynasty, and we're going to show you how to farm, or rather how to get set up farming. So if you're just starting out, you may have only the 5 building limitation, which is perfectly fine. You don't need a barn for farming. It's a nice to have, not a have to have. So don't worry if you don't have a barn yet, or you can't get one set up yet, or simply don't know how. Don't worry. I'm going to go in here into my barn though. Again, not really necessary. But what I need to get here is I need to grab my hoe. Alright, so I need to set up my hoe. Or rather equip my hoe. Alright, and I'm going to assign this to my number 4 key. And that's just so I can build a field and show you guys basically how to get started. Now I'm not going to show you how to set up the villager portion of farming your field, but I will show you how to set up just the basic field itself. There's lots of tutorials out there already on how to set up the villager aspect of farming. Alright, so one of the things you want to do before you start farming or building a field is you want to go through here and start removing stuff. Because it will stop you from building a larger area. And you just want to kind of grab these resources anyway. You may or may not need them, which is kind of good to go ahead and just grab them anyway. Kind of just get them out of your way. Make sure there's nothing here. And this is honestly a bit of a bad idea to do this in the middle of winter, but this is the season that I'm in. So you kind of got to just work with what you're given. And it's also important to note that in the winter time, you only have one crop that you can make, and it's not even harvestable until summer, and that is carrots. So, not a big deal, whatever. I use my farming mostly for cash crops. I was giving it to my villagers, uh, but they get plenty of food from hunting, so it really wasn't that big of a deal. Unless you want to get into role playing, whatever. Okay, so we're going to go into buildings, farming, and here's your field. Now, mine's in the red because something's blocking it. It says that that area is in use. So, whatever. I'm going to go up here as far as I can until it turns red. No, I can't go over anymore. Go over as far as you can. And really just kind of make it as big as you can. I'm trying to match this up to my existing crop size. I don't really want to go any bigger than that existing crop size. It's probably about as big as it's going to let us go. Let's take a look. Yeah, probably go a little bit bigger. That's probably about what we want. Alright, so I've got this built. Now I need to plow it. And I recommend doing this in the spring. But again, it's winter for me, so whatever. Anyway, what I'm doing here is I don't plan on actually using this field or planting any more carrots. But what I am doing here is I'm kind of prepping for spring. Because what I plan on doing here eventually when I get done doing whatever I want to do for the rest of the season, I'm going to sleep until the next season starts. And then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to plant flax. This will probably be my flax crop. And flax is not a cash crop. Or at least not for me it isn't. I plan on using flax to make linen so I can make clothes. And I probably won't even have enough flax to even sell the excess clothing for profit. I'll probably have enough just for myself and maybe a little bit left over so I can make myself some crossbows and stuff like that that I need probably later on throughout the other seasons. And you can only build, or you can only do flax, I think you can only plant it in the spring. So whatever flax that you plant, it's pretty much got to last you the entire year. So that's why I'm trying to make a whole crop dedicated just to flaxseed. Because I'm probably going to use a lot of it throughout the year. So I'm just trying to plan ahead. And I broke my hoe. Dang it, I hate when that happens. Not a big deal. So I have a bunch of logs and sticks and whatnot. So I'm just going to go to my resource shed and make another hoe real quick. But it is important to know that if you're trying to unlock the barn or anything farming related, the easiest way to do that is by making fields. I'm going to show you. And then once you have your field made, don't fertilize it. You don't want to waste fertilizer on a crop that you're just going to destroy. But literally just set the field up and just harvest it. Or I mean not harvest it, I'm sorry, just plow it. Because you get points, it's 3 points I want to say. I keep on pressing the wrong key here. You get 3 points I think toward your experience for farming. I want to say roughly. Where am I trying to go here? I'm trying to make a hoe. Where's my tools? Why am I not able to... Where am I at? I'm in the wrong... Oh, yeah. Wrong place. I don't know what the heck I'm doing over here. There we go. Alright, give me a second. Old man moment. Alright, so... You don't want to... you don't want to waste manure or fertilizer on a crop that you're just going to destroy. So, again, if you're just trying to get the barn, don't worry about it. You know, right off the bat, just make a bunch of empty crops that you're going to destroy. Which is about what I'm about to do, except I'm going to actually keep my crop. I'm not going to actually destroy it. But that will give you enough points to where you can unlock your barn. Or at least your first barn. And give me just a second here. I'll show you what the major use of your barn will be. Or at least your first barn. So one of the things that I found out in farming is that, which didn't really make a whole lot of sense to me, but manure and fertilizer are two separate things, apparently. I always thought they were the same thing, but I guess there's a difference. So, vendors will sell both, or at least some vendors will sell both. I honestly had a hard time finding fertilizer when I first started out because I thought manure and fertilizer were basically the same thing. And again, they're not. Why are you not plowing? So, and then it was kind of like an oxymoron. It's like, oh, well, you have to have a barn to make fertilizer. And I was like, well, you can't get a barn, you know. I was like, ugh. It seemed a little frustrating for about a half a minute. And then I finally went and read a wiki on it, and I was like, oh, okay, I get it. So, that's why we're here, to help reduce the confusion. So anyway, after you make a bunch of fields and get your experience enough to where you unlock the barn, you can go buy manure and convert that manure into fertilizer. And I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second here. Almost done. There we go. Alright, so here's my field. Hooray, my field's done. So I'm going to go buy some poop. Well, I'm not going to. You are. But you'd go buy some poop, fertilizer, and you go over here to your workbench. And from here, you would take 2 manure, produces 1 fertilizer. So you get your fertilizer, everything is great. So once you have your fertilizer, now you need a small bag. Or a simple bag. So you take the simple bag, and I'm just going to grab 1 fertilizer just for demonstration. So I don't want to waste it. Because these crops will eventually turn back to nothing over time. Now if you plow it, it takes them a long time to turn back into grassland. But eventually they will. So I don't want to really waste. I don't mind replowing a field. I just don't want to waste fertilizer. Because it does get pricey when you do it in bulk. Alright, so you want to come in here to field. Let me back up for a second. First, you want to get a simple bag. Simple bag, honestly, I waited until night and I stole my first simple bag because I didn't have a sewing kit to make one, and I didn't have money to buy one. So I just waited till really late at night. Everybody in the village went to sleep, my neighboring village, and I just literally stole the simple bag from my neighbor. Now, eventually, I made my sewing kit area where I just make them myself, but starting out, I stole one. Probably a bad idea, but it didn't really hurt my rep, so I didn't really care. Anyway, once you have a simple bag, you want to equip it. And then you're going to want to come in here to field. You'll have 2 options. You'll have orchard and field. I don't have an orchard. Actually, an orchard is probably not a bad idea because you can grow on an orchard all year round, apparently, as to where crops go in cycles. But anyway, so you want to select fertilizer after you've turned your poop into fertilizer. Come over here, make sure that the field is highlighted, and then just click. And yay, it looks like you sprinkled some turds on your field. So come back to your hoe. And now it's plowed. So once it's plowed like this, you can go and buy seed, which I'll show you. Go buy some seed from a vendor. And you can take that seed and put it in your bag. Now I can't, well, I guess I can plant a carrot. It's winter time. So I'm going to take carrot seed. Now, I'm not going to actually plant my carrot seed because I don't want to waste it. But again, demonstration. Come back to your bag. Field. And you want to find out what you can plant. Again, this is all planning ahead. So for carrots, I can plant them in the spring, and I can harvest in the autumn, or I can plant in the winter, and I can harvest them in the summer, which is what my field is over here to the right. I'll show you in just a second. But I would select that, and again, just click on it, and it would plant my crop. So these are my carrots. So these are my carrots for my winter crop, and I will harvest these in the summer. What I will probably do, the more I think about this, is I will probably turn this into yet another carrot crop. Since I can grow in the spring, I can grow carrots in the spring and harvest in the fall. I'll probably just keep these 2 as carrot crops. That'll work just fine. Which means I'll have to tear down some trees here and clear out some area for flax. Not a big deal. I have this whole area here set up to be dedicated to farming. So that's probably what I'll do. I'll just expand my crop. Not a big deal. But essentially, that's farming. Another thing that you can do with the barn that's actually very helpful is you can make dab, and dab is insulation for your simple houses. If you're not using stone, which I did not, I just did mine with wood. So you can come in here and you can make this dab stuff, and you'll want shovels, or you'll need shovels because you'll need to dig out clay. And once you have some clay and some straw, you can make this dab. And with dab, like I said, you can insulate your house. And what that does is, I didn't know this until I looked this up, it actually increases happiness. Now, dab only increases happiness by 3% per villager in that house. But if you built the house out of stone, it did stone walls instead, I think that said it does 10% happiness. The only problem with stone is it takes a little bit of time and it takes quite a bit of stone. And I think it's limestone that you have to get, not the regular stone, but limestone. So it does take a little bit of time to gather the resources to build stone walls. But nevertheless, that's another use. And I think you can also dab the stone walls too for insulation. So that'll give you 13% per villager for happiness. So that is helpful. Another thing that you can do with the barn that, again, kind of like later on helpful, is making animal feed if you want to have animals. So with that, you'll need the rye and the oat grain and some straw, and then I'll make animal feed. Personally, animal feed's pretty cheap, and that's a lot of resources to waste on animal feed. So I would probably just buy my animal feed versus growing it. But nevertheless, if you want to build a big farm and you're really into farming, that is an option. That's what you can use the barn for. And then poppy seed, um, you know, I don't know what the heck poppy seed is used for, but I don't know, bread maybe? I'm not sure. Haven't got that far into farming. But you can, I guess, do something with it. I don't know. Other fertilizer you can use also is rot. Um, Rot is something I try to avoid, but I will go over it real quickly. So, rot occurs in your food storage, for example. Let me pop up my chest. And you can see the condition of food, for example. So, like my dried meat here is 93.7%. So, what that means is that's how good it is. And over time, it starts to deteriorate and it starts to, mold and break down. I think you start hitting rotting stage around 50%. I don't know. I usually, if something gets to around 70s and into the 70 percentile, like my berries did earlier, um, if my villagers haven't ate all that food by the time it hits the 70s, I usually just pull it out and I just go sell it. Because it does lose value as well as far as its freshness goes when you're selling to vendors as well. So I don't like it to get too low. I just pull it out and I just go sell it. But if I wanted to leave it in there, it would eventually turn to rot, and you could take rot to the barn and use it for fertilizer.